Good day, everyone. Welcome to our recorded board. So, for today, we are going to discuss the anthropology in practice, applied anthropology, and development. But first, I'm going to introduce you with my groupmate. First, I am Makanan Po. We have Christine Bihan, Rizales Karen, Evan Renarea, Swinyu Kenneth, and lastly, Villanueva Julia. So, our lesson outline, we have here the applied anthropology and the Philippines context, addressing social issues like poverty, education, health, and environment. And lastly, we have role of anthropologists in advocacy and policy making. Our learning outcome for today is to identify how anthropology addresses issues like poverty, education, health, and environment in the Philippines. Second, explain the role of anthropologists in advocacy and policy making. Third, develop culturally sensitive strategies to address social issues. First, we are going to discuss the applied anthropology in the Philippine context. So, we're going to define what is anthropology is and anthropologies. So, anthropology is the study of the origin and development of human societies and culture. So, culture is the learned behavior of people, including their languages, belief system, social structures, institution, and material goods. So, one example here is the discovery of the Manunggal jar. So, these people, their belief system that there are the afterlife. So, the Manunggal jar was a second burial, so that the person who died has an afterlife. So that's their belief system. So anthropologists study that characteristic of the past and present human communities through a variety of techniques. In doing so, they investigate, describe how different peoples of the world live throughout history. Anthropologists aims to study and present their human subject in a clear and unbiased way. They attempt to achieve this by observing subjects and their local environment. Anthropologists then describe interaction and custom, a process known as ethnography. So by participating in everyday life of their subject, anthropologists can better understand and explain the purpose of local institution, culture, and practices. This process is known as participant observation. So when we participate and we observe the culture of your subject, you better understand their activity. So that's why being an anthropologist, we must participate or observe their activity in order to understand them. Applying anthropology in the Philippine system. Anthropology is highly useful in the Philippines for preserving cultural heritage, empowering indigenous communities, informing social policies, enhancing education, guiding urban planning, supporting peace building, improving healthcare, and promoting environmental conservation. It bridges cultural understanding and practical solutions, especially in addressing social and cultural complexity. So, we have the example of Manunggal jar. So, this jar was preserved in the National Museum of Anthropology in Manila. So, that will be my part, and may call on my next reporter, Christine Bihan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Carla Christine, the next reporter. So now let's talk about the examples of applied anthropology in the Philippine context. So here are some examples of the applied anthropology in the Philippines. So the first one is preservation of cultural heritage that an Ifugao rise to assess. So as we all know, Ifugao rise to assess kay iconic representation yun na siya sa Filipino culture and ingenuity. So ang Ifugao rise to assess kay were built 2,000 years ago using only katang traditional methods of farming techniques. However, ang modernization, migration to urban areas, and changes in farming practices have led to their neglect and deterioration. So, amo na ang therein ni should say anthropology. So, anthropologists played a important role in collaborating with the Ifuga community para i-document ug i-revive ila traditional practices. So, these include nga studian nila to indigenous farming methods, rituals to planting and harvest, and cultural traditions such as the Hudhud chants. So, ang Hudhud chants kay UNESCO recognized oral tradition na siya. So, these efforts were incorporated into conservation projects and sustainable tourism initiatives. So, ang anthropology kay nag-help siya to ensure that conservation programs respected the cultural and spiritual significance of the terraces while nag-provide gyapon sang economic opportunities for the community. So, ini nga example, nag-highlight siya how anthropology can aid in preserving cultural heritage while still promoting sustainable development. So, the next one is the ethnographic research to aid policymaking for indigenous people. So, indigenous people in the Philippines, such as the Dumagat, Aita, and the Manubo, have long struggled with issues like land displacement, lack of access to basic services, and limited representation in policy-making processes. So, ang anthropology, nag-conduct siya sa ethnographic research para ma-document ang cultural practices, spiritual connections sa land ug social system sa indigenous groups. So, ini nga study nag-provided siya sa critical insights into how indigenous people interact with the environment and society. So, ini nga application sa anthropology sa ini nga context kay nag-ensure lang siya nga ang voices and needs sa indigenous people were reflected in national laws and policies. So the next one is the disaster resilience studies in typhoon-prone areas. So the Philippines, as we all know, is highly vulnerable gud siya sa natural disasters such as typhoon, floods, and earthquakes, with communities in rural and coastal areas often suffering the most. So traditional disaster preparedness programs have sometimes failed because they did not consider local practices and knowledge. So anthropologists conducted some study in disaster-prone communities to understand how local traditionally prepared for and responded to natural disasters. For example, they documented indigenous warning systems such as observing changes in animal behavior, wind patterns, and tidal shifts. So they also studied community-based coping mechanisms like reciprocal labor systems for rebuilding homes and sharing resources during emergencies. So ini nga insights nag-incorporate at siya into disaster preparedness programs na nag-combine sa traditional knowledge with modern technologies. For example, evacuation plans were designed to respect cultural practices and leadership structures, ensuring community participation of trust. So this approach kay nag-enhance na siya sa disaster resilience by aligning preparedness program with local cultural norms, leading to greater participation and more effective outcomes. So, nag-demonstrate na siya how anthropology can contribute to saving lives and strengthening communities in disaster-prone areas. So, each of these examples can illustrates siya how applied anthropology addresses specific challenges by incorporating cultural and community perspective into practical solutions. So, also, this example nag-reflect siya how transformative power of anthropology in solving real-world issues while respecting cultural diversity and promoting sustainable development.
So good day everyone, I am Karen J. De Salas, your first reporter in the second topic, addressing social issues in poverty education, health, and environment. So next slide please. So first we have poverty. So when we say poverty, it is a state of lacking basic necessities such as food, shelter, clothing, healthcare, and education. So it can be caused by a variety of factors including ang lack of access to education, employment, opportunities, and resources. So in addressing it, we should analyze the causes of poverty, promoting sustainable livelihood, and facilitating community empowerment. So in analyzing the causes of poverty, so understanding the social, economic, and cultural factors that contribute to poverty is essential for developing targeted interventions. So in here, this involves examining the power dynamics, access to resources, and the impact of globalization in local economies. And second, we have the promoting sustainable livelihood. So in here, anthropologists can work with communities to develop sustainable economic activities that are culturally appropriate and environmentally responsible. So in here, this might be involved supporting small-scale business, promoting agroforestry, and developing tourism initiatives nga naka-benefit sa local communities. And third, we have the facilitating community empowerment. So in here, anthropologists can empower communities by providing them with the knowledge, skills, and resources to advocate their own development. So in here, it also include fostering community organizing, promote participatory decision-making, and building local leadership. So, next slide please. We have the education. So, when we say education, it is the process of acquiring knowledge, skills, and values. So, it is essential no for individual and societal development. So the access to equality education is crucial nga sa individual kag sa atong nation, sa atong national, sa atong nation. So, by addressing education, so ang mga anthropologists can contribute education to reform by developing culturally appropriate curricula, addressing educational disparities, and promoting lifelong learning. So first, developing culturally appropriate curricula. So anthropologists can help design curricula that are relevant to the cultural context of learners, incorporating local knowledge systems and values. So in here, by doing this can be used to improve student engagement and academic performance. So second, we have the addressing educational disparities. So anthropologists can identify and address the factors that contribute to educational disparities such as language barriers, poverty, and gender inequality. So in here naman, nag-include ni siya sa mga advocating for equitable access to resources and opportunities. And lastly, we have promoting lifelong learning. So in here, anthropologists can help develop programs that are promote long life learning and community-based education initiatives. So in here naman, nag-ensure ni sila nga the individuals have access to knowledge and skills throughout their lives. So that would be all my topic, the poverty and education. Now, thank you for listening, and I will call on the second reporter and the second topic, Ms. Ria Joy Albanvena.
Thank you, Ms. Karen DeSalas. I am the next reporter. My name is Raja Albanvena, and I'm going to discuss on how to address the social issues such as the health and the environment. So how do we address the issues in health? So first, we have the strengthen primary healthcare services. So primary healthcare is the first point of contact for many Filipinos, particularly in rural areas. Strengthening barangay health centers by providing adequate medical supplies, diagnostic tools, and improved facilities ensures that basic health services are accessible. So, for instance, barangay health workers or the BHWs can be trained to deliver vaccinations, monitor chronic diseases like hypertension and diabetes, and provide prenatal and postnatal care to mothers. So, by increasing the number of health centers in remote areas and ensuring 24/7 availability, communities can avoid delays in seeking medical attention, which often lead to complications. So, next solution is to increase health budget and investment. So, a well-funded healthcare system allows for the construction of more hospitals, better equipment, and higher salaries for medical professionals, which can help address the shortage of doctors and nurses. So, also, increasing PhilHealth's budgets ensures that more Filipinos, especially those from low-income households, can afford medical treatments. And also, investment in infrastructure, such as telemedicine programs, can bridge the gap for people living in remote areas where healthcare facilities are sparse. And last solution we have is promoting health education and preventive care. So, educating the public on disease prevention and healthy living habits can significantly reduce the burden on the healthcare system. So, for example, teaching proper hand washing techniques can prevent the spread of diseases like diarrhea and influenza. Also, encouraging regular physical activity and balanced diets can help address the growing rates of obesity and lifestyle-related diseases such as heart disease. And also, preventive programs targeting smoking cessation and alcohol abuse also reduce long-term health risks. So, those are just few of the solutions on how to address the issues in the health in the Philippines. So, next slide, please. Okay, so now we have the environment. So, how do we address the social issues here about in our environment? So, first, we have to promote sustainable agriculture and reforestation. So, deforestation and or unsustainable farming practices and land degradation are major environmental issues in the Philippines that we know. So, encouraging sustainable agriculture and reforestation can combat soil erosion, improve biodiversity, and enhance carbon sequestration. So, programs like National Green Program that aims to reforest millions of hectares with native tree species, and other also like promoting agroforestry, where crops and trees are grown together, can benefit both farmers and the environment. So, next solution that we have is to strengthen waste management and recycling systems. So, solid waste pollution, particularly in urban areas and waterways, is a pressing problem, right? So, strengthening waste segregation, recycling programs, and enforcement of environmental laws can reduce pollution and improve public health. So, for example, in barangay level, waste segregation initiatives like recycle, the reduce, reuse, or the 3 Rs. And also in local government units, implementing stricter penalties for littering and promoting reusable materials over single-use plastics can also help. Okay, so next solution that we have is invest in renewable energy, and green technologies. So we all know that the Philippines relies heavily on fossil fuels, contributing to air pollution and climate change. So investing in renewable energy such as solar, wind, and geothermal can reduce carbon emissions and create sustainable energy sources. So for example, the development of the large-scale solar farms like the Calatagan Solar Farm in Batangas, in which also encouraging households to install solar panels through government subsidies or initiatives. So by implementing these solutions, the Philippines can better address its environmental and health challenges and create a more sustainable future. So that's all for my part. I hope you learned something.
Hey everyone, I'm Kenneth Sueño and I'm the reporter of the role of anthropologists in advocacy. Okay, first is the cultural understanding and sensitivity. The role of an anthropologist in policymaking is important or significant because they help us understand different cultures and ways of lives. So anthropologists study people, right? So the traditions and how they interact with the environment. So to do this well, they need to be culturally sensitive, meaning they have the respect and acknowledge different cultures. So being culturally sensitive helps anthropologists to avoid making judgments based on their beliefs or values. So it ensures that the people they study may feel respected and understood. So in this way, anthropologists can gain more accurate and meaningful insights into diverse cultures. Okay, next is the anthropologists have deep knowledge of diverse cultural practices, traditions, and values. Okay, so the anthropologists must have the knowledge because it helps them to see the world from different perspectives. By understanding these practices, anthropologists can explain how culture shape people's lives and behavior. Their role in advocacy includes providing insights into how affect different communities and suggesting culturally appropriate solutions. Okay, so anthropologists plays a significant role in helping indigenous communities by understanding how different issues impact them. So they study cultures to see how people from different backgrounds might be affected by these policies or changes in their environment. For example, if a new law is passed that changes or the indigenous people on how they own their land or how they use their land. So an anthropologist can explain how the law might impact the traditions and or the communities, indigenous communities in that area. So anthropologists can suggest possible solutions that respect the community's values, like finding ways to support the law without disrupting the cultural practices inside the tribe or the cultural community. Next is the key contributions of anthropologists in advocacy. Okay, number one is the human rights protection. Many anthropologists works on defending indigenous rights, promoting social justice, and fighting against human rights violations. Anthropologists work to protect the rights of indigenous people and fight for fairness because they understand the importance of culture and traditions. They use their knowledge to speak up when communities face injustice or treated unfairly. For example, if a company tries to take a land away from indigenous tribe without permission, so anthropologists might help by raising awareness of the issue and supporting the community's right to their land. So this will help to ensure people on the tribe to understand the harmful effects of these actions on the culture and well-being of their community. Okay, second is the social justice and equity. So anthropologists contribute to campaigns focused on social issues like gender equality, environmental justice, and economic disparities. So anthropologists can help social campaigns because they understand on how these cultures experience issues like gender equality, environment, or financial really affects them. So they study how these factors affect the community's lives and livelihood. So they're thinking to might raise awareness or support certain groups to mitigate the effects of these problems. Next is the environmental advocacy. Anthropologists study the relationship between humans and the environment, advocating for sustainable practices and policies. So, anthropologists study how interact with the environment to understand our actions that really affects the nature and the world around us. They look at how cultures use natural resources like water or land and how this impacts the environment. By doing this, they can suggest ways to protect the environment while meeting the people's needs. Okay, first is the ethnographic research. Fieldwork and participant observation allow anthropologists to gather first-hand accounts of issues affecting communities. So this research helps to understand the complex social issues from the insider's perspective. Okay, so the ethnographic research is one of the methods used by anthropologists as it is significant in promoting advocacy because it allows anthropologists to study directly and understand the lives of the people in the communities. Through fieldwork and participant observation, anthropologists spend time with people, listening to their experiences, seeing how they live. So this will help them to understand social problems from the inside, seeing things from a community's point of view. For example, is by observing how indigenous communities affected by a social issue. So an anthropologist will gather experiences or stories to help find possible solutions that really work on the people or the tribe. Next is the collaboration with NGOs and governments. So, anthropologists often partner with non-governmental organizations and government agencies to influence policy changes. So, they use their expertise to inform and guide advocacy efforts. So, anthropologists often work with NGOs and government agencies to help change policies that affect communities. So, they use their expertise, their knowledge, to provide advices or guide decisions. And to sharing the research, anthropologists can help these organizations understand the real needs of the different groups or tribes in the community. For example, they may give advice or offer suggestions to the government or raise a concern that on a law or how to create a law that ensures that the policy will benefit everyone. Lastly is the public education and awareness campaigns. So writing, speaking engagements, and media involvement, anthropologists raise awareness about social issues and influence public opinion. So anthropologists can help raising awareness on social issues through sharing their knowledge with or on the public. So they write articles, communicating or having dialogue with other people or even public officials. They may appear in the media as well, so they explain the social problems, and by doing this, they can inform people and help them understand these issues better. So, for example, an anthropologist speak up on the TV and informing or sharing information on the public about the importance of the indigenous culture. So it helps the people to why is it matter and what they need to learn or what action should they take.
Good day everyone, I am Julia Villanueva, the last reporter for Group 1. Today we will be discussing the last subtopic, which is the role of anthropologists in policy making. So the first one is the cultural advisor. Anthropologists bring a deep understanding of different cultures, customs, and social practices. It means anthropologists serve as a cultural advisors in policy making by providing insights into the values, customs, and social practices of diverse communities. Their expertise helps ensure that policies are culturally sensitive, inclusive, and effective, promoting social equity and reducing facing unintended consequences. By bridging gaps between policymakers and local communities, anthropologists ensure that policies are relevant and respectful. The second one is what we call the community outreach specialists. Anthropologists often act as bridges between policymakers and local communities. As community outreach specialists, anthropologists play a crucial role in connecting policymakers with local communities by fostering communication and trust. They help policymakers understand the concerns, needs, and the perspectives of the community, ensuring that policies are designed in a way that reflects the lived experiences of those affected. The third one is the needs assessment. By conducting ethnographic research, anthropologists can assess the needs, behaviors, and challenges faced by specific populations. Through ethnographic research, anthropologists conduct in-depth studies of communities to assess their needs, behaviors, and challenges. This method provides a nuanced understanding of the everyday experiences of specific populations, allowing policymakers to design targeted and effective intervention. By observing and interacting with individuals in their natural environments, anthropologists gather valuable insights into the local issues, cultural dynamics, and social structures. The fourth one is the impact evaluation. Anthropologists can evaluate the social and cultural impact of policies and programs once they are implemented. With that, anthropologists play a key role in impact evaluation by assessing the social and cultural effects of policies and programs after implementation. Through qualitative research methods such as interviews, observations, and focus groups, they examine how policies affect communities' values, relationships, and daily practices. Last but not the least is the fifth one, which is advocacy for social justice. Anthropologists often advocate for policies that promote equality, fairness, and social justice. Anthropologists advocate for policies that promote social justice by using their understanding of cultural and social dynamics to highlight issues of inequality and discrimination. They work to ensure that marginalized and vulnerable populations have a voice in policy decisions, pushing for changes that address systematic injustices. Through research and public engagement, anthropologists support policies that foster equity, protect human rights, and promote fairness, often focusing on the needs of the historically oppressed groups. That concludes the discussion for Group 1. We hope you have learned something valuable from our presentation for today. Thank you and have a great day ahead.